Morning, everybody. It's Rena. Anyway, I hope everybody slept well. That's okay. Um, Too bad about the mayoral race in New York City, huh? But anyway, the thing of this video is about Bryan Koberger. I've already made one of what I saw psychically. It's back there somewhere if you want to see it, but I thought I need to make another one because I really feel from what I saw in my psychic that he's not guilty. He didn't do it. And I have never been wrong. I've had problems interpreting my visions or I just don't get anything, but I did see something with Bryan Koberger. And he may be a geek, he may be weird, he may be a stalker, from a distance, but I saw that he didn't do it. And I want to tell what I remember I saw because I don't write things down anymore. And also, I want to tell you the practical reasons, the day-to-day things that don't make sense to me as to why he would do this. Okay, well, what I remember seeing at the time when this horrible murders, is that I remember I wasn't really following the case because I really don't like to do that. If I'm going to get information, I want it to come from my sources, not the news or because I don't want to get too much information. I want to get clean information from me, from those that tell me the things that I'm shown and told. And sometimes it's not just one time, it's many times. And it can happen during the day while I'm doing dishes or I'm on the computer, or it can happen while I'm making the bed. Sometimes it used to just happen at night. Now it happens during the day. It's random. Anyway, so what I saw was I was standing at the Idaho house in this vision, and it was dark out. It was nighttime, and I was in the middle of the backyard. And I knew there were trees behind me. And like I said, I don't know the layout that well of the house or what's in the house, or I didn't follow the story. It was breaking kind of at the time. And anyway, I was standing in the middle of their backyard, and the house is on a slope. I know that. So the sliders are higher in the back than the front door is. So I was sitting in the middle of the backyard, and it was nighttime. And I saw the leaves on the ground, and they were all dry. And it was fall, or I forget what month this happened, but everything was dry, and it was chilly out. And when you're in a vision, you can feel you feel cold. You feel warm. You feel the breeze. You feel like you're there. You're kind of placed there. And I saw the balcony. There was above the sliding doors to the outside, there was a balcony. And it went kind of around the second floor. And there were windows on that it seemed like the second floor above the sliders. And somebody, a man in a dark hoodie, I couldn't tell it was black because it was dark. The whole place was dark. He was trying to get in one of those windows. And he was holding something in front of him. And it was like tarps. It looked like tarps or sheets. They were light colored. And he was kind of wrestling with them like he was trying to get himself and these things, this bundle inside the window. And I was just observing, and that's the end of that scene. Then I was standing outside on the lawn again, but I was standing next to the back slider. There were these two sliders in my vision, and I was on the right-hand side. And I knew the murders had just happened. And I was terrified. And I was pinned against the wall of the outside. But I also could feel what he was feeling, the person who did this. And he was like standing right next to me, like outside, and he had just come from the inside, and his heart was, I could feel what he was feeling. And his heart was pounding like a mile a minute. He was completely drenched in sweat. I could feel this, and he was exhausted. And I remember he was thinking that he didn't expect it would be this physically demanding, what he had done. He didn't expect it at all. And he was just like hyperventilating to the point where all he wanted to do, he didn't have an ounce of strength left in him. All he wanted to do was get the hell out of there. And there was a road to my left where the road ran next to the house, and there was a car parked a little ways up. And before the trees, where the trees started in the yard, the backyard area, there was a white small. It wasn't white; it was light. I don't know if it was white or not. It could have been. It was a light small sedan, and the windows. I remember noticing the windows were all fogged up inside the car. And I was thinking that was strange because it was a damp night. It wasn't, it was fall. So, or winter or whatever the month. I don't remember the month, but it was changing of the seasons. So the inside of the windows were fogged. And I kind of got the feeling that maybe somebody was in the car with it waiting for him. Very much so. And that he was just wanted to hit that car. And I knew he had something with him. The bundles that he was carrying, he probably still had them with him. I wasn't sure because I didn't see him because I wasn't looking. I was just looking straight ahead. I was scared to death in the vision that he would see me. And I knew he did it. This person did it, and if they saw me, but of course in a vision you're safe. You're not going to get murdered in a vision. And I didn't want him to know I was there and I was watching. So then there was most likely, I mean, any people who know anything about science or water condensation, why would the windows be fogged up on a car? Where this guy had been in the house maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes? Would that mean there was somebody in the car? I suspected there was somebody in that car waiting for him. The car was not turned on, but the steam was coming out. I could see the foggy windows. So does that mean that there was somebody in the car? Or the car was running? I couldn't hear the car running because it was on the hill. But it was highly probable that there was somebody waiting for him. This wasn't like he did this alone. He had, maybe the person didn't do anything. I did not get and in the next week or so, I kept getting more information. And I got the feeling like, yes, there was somebody else was, it was like I was being told things, like small things. And there was somebody who helped him, who drove the car, who helped him get rid of sheets or whatever he used to keep himself from leaving anything, from I don't know what, but I did see him bringing a big bundle of tarps or sheets into the house. So over the next, and then they arrested Bryan Koberger. They right away. It was so soon, and I didn't call in my tip because I was starting to get information because I didn't have a chance. They already arrested him. And I was like, wow, that was really fast. And because of some knife sheet. And I was kind of confused, and I thought, well, wait a minute, and then what I started seeing was the colors black and red in against like a black background, as I usually see things that I'm supposed to see against a black and red, against a black background, usually black, because I'm supposed to see what's in the center. It's the focus. So they put it against the background that I make sure I see the middle. A red and black combinations like blankets, like a sports ball. Um, I couldn't believe it. It was constantly red and black, and I was thinking, what does red and black have to do with any of this? The school colors were not red and black. But I found at Bryan Koberger's school, which was close, but not the same school, was the colors were gray and red. And I thought, no, that's not red and black. And then I just had this feeling it wasn't him. And then the name, they said Africa. And I thought, oh, gee, thanks. That really helps a lot. Bryan Koberger's obviously not a native of Africa, unless he's from South Africa, which he wasn't. And I'm thinking, what are you telling me? What are you telling me? So then they introduced the four jacks. And I thought, okay, I just got the feeling like they just arrested him because they wanted to arrest somebody, and then Goncalves, or however you pronounce the name, were really pushing, and they had him hanged already before. I understand that they were beyond upset. I mean, beyond mad, but you want to get the right person. So, and the only evidence they had was that little bit of DNA on the knife sheath. And they didn't have the knife. And it was the knife. Well, that's the practical thing that I want to talk about. Anyway, and it said Africa. I felt like it wasn't the right person. It was a fair-haired person. And I even did readings, like tarot readings, said it was a fair-haired person. I felt in Africa and black and red. And I looked at the jacks because I felt that it was somebody closer to home. It was not this guy, Bryan Koberger, who may have visited this is what I was told by whoever tells me. I don't have a name for whoever tells me things. It's just, I'm drinking, ginger beer, which has no alcohol, and San Pellegrino blood orange. It's very good. Anyway, it was connecting. There were other things too that are back on my page. They were telling me they got the wrong guy. It was somebody closer to home. And then the strange thing was they were starting to show the jacks. And I was looking at the jacks. It was all over the news, so you couldn't miss it. Then I started to really be curious because this wasn't what they were saying about Bryan Koberger, and what I was seeing were not the same thing. And so I looked at the jacks, and then I looked at one of the jacks, and he was into hunting. He had actually been thrown out off the campus for leaving dead carcasses on the campus. Apparently, he had a fascination with knives. And I was like, okay, well, the other jacks they were ex-boyfriends and things like that. It just happened to be four jacks. And I thought, I'll just look into his thing, his what they have to say about him. And they cleared them all. Apparently, they cleared them all. And so anyway, I look at Jack Showalker's thing, and he has an adopted brother from Africa. And I was like, oh my God. And they have a place in Africa. They often visit Africa because this is where they adopted the son from, who's a part of the 5 children that the parents have. And I think they're doctors or a high profession. And they adopted this native of Africa, a young black man. And I don't remember his name. And I looked him up. And every picture that I saw of him on the internet, which were few, he was wearing red and black. So I thought, oh my God, he did it. It was him. And this is for disclaimer, this is my opinion. I'm not accusing anybody. It made perfect sense that what the Bryan Koberger didn't do it. This is my opinion. And from what I've seen and what has been told to me, this makes sense. And how would I have known Africa? And that he had an adopted brother from Africa. And I believe that adopted brother, disclaimer, helped him get away, helped him dispose of. This guy was, all right, so that was the visions I saw that I remember. I may have some more on, if you want to look at my other channel, which I posted a couple of years ago because this crime happened, I think in 2021, I think. Anyway, it's back there on my videos if you want to look at what I said. But I never, when I posted what I saw, I never really said what my opinion was. But if you think about it, Bryan Koberger, yes, was a weirdo. He is a weirdo. He is an odd man, and a lot of people are odd. There's nothing wrong with it. If you like a pretty girl, you might drive by our house or something. I know when I was younger, my sister would insist on driving by her, guys that she broke up with, or, drive by their house like 19 times, and I'd go with her for the ride. And, I never did it because I didn't have, I was afraid I'd get stuck on their street but anyway, people have a habit of doing that. Okay. Number one, what does Bryan Koberger have to do with a hunting knife? Okay, suppose he likes to play with hunting knives. Suppose he's that's nothing. The only piece of physical evidence they had was the knife sheath with his DNA in that little spot. But the sheath was totally clean. There was no blood. It was a bloody massacre in that house. According to sources, blood was dripping outside from the walls. There was blood everywhere. It looked like a massacre. Bryan Koberger had never apparently been in that house. He didn't know the layout of the house in the dark. He didn't know it was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He didn't know anything about that house. He didn't know that was a party house. It was that allegedly a party house because that's what people said. People came and they went. There was some paraphernalia stuff going on allegedly that, people like to party. So there was things going on. Things that you put in your nose, your mouth, and, stuff like that. And you smoke. Anyway, it was known for that. So people were always going and coming. So why would a stranger basically go into a house where he doesn't know that half a football team is sleeping over? Or some big, strong guys from the university wrestling team are not sleeping on the living room floor. And you're going to have to take on all these guys with your knife, which isn't going to end well for you. Why would you do this? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. Bryan Koberger was studying criminal justice. Also, you wouldn't walk into that situation. You don't know who's in that house. You don't know if they don't have a gun. You don't know anything what you're walking into in the dark. You don't know the layout of the house. It would have to be somebody who knew who'd been in that house, who knew who was going to be there. Now, I believe Kaylee and Ethan were not even supposed to be there because Ethan was the boyfriend of Xana and Kaylee was just staying over for the night because she had already left for her new place or wherever she was going. She just came for the night and to show everybody her new car. So she wasn't even supposed to be there. I think it was Kaylee. I'm not sure which one it was, but one of the blonde girls. Anyway, so It would have had to have been somebody who knew who was going to be in that house, or approximately who was going to be. The layout of the house. Jack Showalker was walking behind those girls on that video to the food truck. He was listening to their plans of what they were going to do. And he had already been kicked off campus, like I said, for leaving dead carcasses. Just to like shock everybody. And he was familiar with knife. He was a big hunter. If you look up his name and his thing, you see him posing with big rams and deer and bears and things like that. He knew how to gut an animal. He knew how to use a knife. It wasn't that knife. It wasn't that knife. I don't believe it was. I believe it was something else he used, and he took it with him. And it just doesn't make sense. He knew exactly what was going to happen. He set it up. And I believe Bryan Koberger, if they found his DNA on that knife sheath, he was framed. They somehow got his DNA. He might have had help and put it on that knife sheath that had absolutely no blood on it. If he had it on his side, he would have been covered in blood, which is why I believe somebody would take tarps and maybe it was a huge raincoat type thing to cover himself so he wouldn't get covered in blood. It just doesn't make sense. So he knew his target. He knew where his target was. And Bryan Koberger didn't know. And as far as checking through his trash, when he got home to Pennsylvania, he had already been stopped by state troopers twice. He could have known very well that they were suspecting him and gone in his own father's trash can with gloves on and tried to get rid of his DNA because he knew they were looking at him. What's so strange about that? I mean, if they know they're looking for you, you might want to get rid of some of your DNA in the trash can. I know I would, that they were looking at him. So wouldn't that be the normal thing to do? Plus, he probably was paranoid, scared. So that's my synopsis of the whole case. I know what I saw, and I know that he didn't do it. I know it was him, that other guy, and his brother, because I saw the red and the black, and it was very, very clear. And then when I saw the pictures, I knew there had to be someone who helped him. And the police just nabbed it right away, and it was too soon to nab. It usually takes them over and over and over again. This was ridiculous. I think that this person, JW, saw this guy, maybe met him somewhere, knew he was a geek, perfect patsy, and got the knife sheath, which was probably not Bryan Koberger's in the first place, got its DNA somehow, smeared it around, kept it nice and clean, and dropped it at the murder scene. You don't leave evidence like that when you murder people, especially there's no blood on it. How did that work out? It's just something to think about. And no, I don't believe it. And I believe eventually the truth will come out. So I hope you have a nice day. And that's my synopsis for the day. Maybe that's all. Bye. Love you.